In a bustling town during the Song Dynasty, where the aroma of jasmine tea mingled with the sounds of merchants haggling, there was a tiny tea house owned by the Wei family and run by Mr. Wei's daughter, Lian. One sunny afternoon, as the light streamed through the wooden beams of the tea house, a man walked through the door and smiled as he spotted Lian. He was Kai, a poor scholar who moved to the capital city a few months ago to prepare for the imperial exam. Since then, he had become a regular visitor at Lian's tea house. He studied diligently, memorizing ancient texts and scrolls in the hope of passing the exam, which was just 3 months away. Kai had spent years working in the fields in the day and studying at night, dreaming of the day he could become an official and bring honor to his family. "May I have a cup of your finest tea?" he asked, a hint of excitement in his voice. "Of course," Lian replied, her heart fluttering at the sight of him. "You seem to be in a good mood," she said as she prepared his tea. "I'm always in a good mood when I see you," he replied, making Lian blush. "And of course the tea here is exceptional. Coming here is the best part of my day." This had become their routine. Kai came in once a day, and they exchanged stories and dreams. "Tell me, what do you dream of once you pass the imperial exam?" Lian asked. Kai smiled at her confidence in him. "You seem so sure I'll pass," he said playfully. "Of course. You study so hard. I don't know anyone more deserving than you," Lian said sincerely. That warmed Kai's heart. She would never know how her words of encouragement kept him going and allowed him to believe he could become more than a poor scholar. "Thank you, Lian," he replied, making her smile. Then he continued, "I dream of serving the people, of creating a better world. But more than that, I dream of a life where I can provide for those I care about." Her heart ached for him. He had told her how his father had passed away when he was a child. In those early days, he and his mother rarely had enough to eat. He broke the sour mood. "I hear there's a troupe coming to perform for the Mid-Autumn Festival. Would you like to come see them with me?" Lian flushed. Could this be considered a date? She poured him another cup of tea to distract herself and calm her racing heart. Finally, she replied, "Yes, I'd like that." They agreed that she would close the shop early the next day, and they would go see the performance together. That evening, as Lian was closing up the tea house, her father, Mr. Wei, entered with a stern expression. He had been observing her interactions with Kai over the past few weeks, growing increasingly displeased. "Lian," he called, motioning for her to follow him into the courtyard. "We need to discuss something important." She wiped her hands on her apron and followed him outside. The air felt heavy with tension. "You are not young anymore, Lian," her father began, his tone firm but laced with concern. "You're getting past the prime age for marriage. It's time you settled down. I've spoken with Mr. Wang. His family runs a thriving business, and his son is ready to take you as his wife." Lian's stomach dropped. "But father, everyone knows Mr. Wang's son has a reputation for visiting the brothel," she pleaded, her voice shaking. "Besides, I have someone I care about." Wei's eyes narrowed. "Is it that poor scholar who visits the tea house?" She looked down, ashamed and frightened of his disapproval. "Yes, father, his name is Kai. He's studying hard for the imperial exams. He has potential." "Potential?" Wei scoffed. "Kai is nothing more than a wandering scholar with no means to take care of you. Do you think he can provide the life you deserve? A life that brings honor to this family?" Tears welled up in Lian's eyes as she shook her head. "I love him, father. I don't want to spend my life in a loveless marriage. Please, give me time, just a little longer." Wei's gaze softened momentarily, but his voice remained firm. "You will be married within a year, Lian. Whether it is to Mr. Wang's son or someone else, you have no choice." With that, he walked away. Unable to hold back her tears any longer, Lian cried openly, her shoulders trembling. The next day, Kai entered the tea house, enthusiastic as always, his face lighting up as he spotted Lian behind the counter. Lian's heart sank at his words. She couldn't meet his eyes as she spoke. I can't go with you, Kai." Confusion flashed across Kai's face. "Why not? Is everything all right?" "My parents have arranged a marriage for me," she said quietly, her voice almost breaking. "I'll be married within the year." Kai stood frozen, the weight of her words crashing down on him. "Do you love him?" he asked, his voice soft but filled with a pain that mirrored his disbelief. "No," she whispered, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "But I have no choice." Kai's expression darkened, his usually joyful demeanor replaced with gloom. Then, after thinking for a while, his grave expression was replaced with determination. Lian, I love you, he confessed, his voice breaking slightly. Joy and sadness filled Lian's heart. She had known deep down, but she had wished to hear it under better circumstances. Kai continued, I didn't want to say anything until after the imperial exams because right now, I have nothing to offer you. I wanted to be worthy of you, but now I need to know if you feel the same way I do. Lian responded in a whisper, I love you too, but... That was all Kai needed to hear. Then will you wait for me, Kai asked, stepping closer, his eyes searching hers. Let me take the exam, and once I have an official position, I will convince your father to let us be together. It was the fierceness and love in his eyes that gave Lian hope. Yes, she whispered, tears slipping down her cheeks. I will wait for you. I promise I won't let you down, Kai said with hardened resolve. From that day forward, Kai threw himself into his studies like a madman. He visited the tea house every now and then, but his visits grew less frequent as he prepared for the exam that would determine their future. Still, every time he stopped by, he brought with him that smile and optimistic personality that made Lian love him and kept her hope alive. The imperial exam took place as scheduled. On the day the results were announced, Lian and Kai joined the crowd gathered around the posted list. Their hearts raced as they scanned the names. There! Lian screamed. A few names from the top was Kai's name. Tears of joy filled Lian's eyes as she realized what this meant for their future. She threw her arms around Kai and he spun her around, both of them laughing. Shortly after, Kai was given a high-ranking position in the Ministry of Revenue. As soon as he received his confirmation of appointment, he made his way to Lian's home and asked her father for her hand in marriage. It was clear he had been preparing the betrothal gifts for a long time. Lian's father grudgingly accepted, but deep down, he was happy that Lian had found someone she loved. Their wedding took place in the tea house, the location which had brought them together. The familiar space now shimmered with red lanterns and delicate tapestries. Friends and family gathered, their laughter and cheer filling the air. Kai stood tall in his traditional red wedding robe, the embroidery glinting in the candlelight. His mother, standing nearby with misty eyes, beamed with pride as she watched her son prepare for this significant moment. Lian stood radiant in a matching red wedding robe, her face gently concealed beneath a red veil. They completed their bows and vows, earning a cheer from the crowd. Later that night, after the celebrations had quieted, Kai and Lian sat together in their bedroom, sharing their nuptial wine in the soft glow of the candlelight. Kai turned to Lian, his eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you for waiting for me," he said softly. Lian's heart swelled with emotion, her eyes shining as she smiled at him. "I should be the one thanking you. Thank you for fighting for us, Kai. I would wait for you all over again." At that moment, Kai gently lifted her veil. He cupped her face in his hands and leaned in, pressing his lips to hers in a tender, heartfelt kiss, one that sealed their vows, their love, and the beginning of their life together.